Hello and welcome to Living Life Juicy Live. I'm John Losey and I'm your host on this little adventure. And wanted to check in today. It's a lovely windy Monday morning here in Southern California, and I am excited to be here. The last week was definitely juicy, lots of ups and downs and lots of interesting things. One up part of it is one of the things that I do in my uh, real job, day job, is I get to coach people, and I got to come alongside. And what I love isn't where I am, it's all about my infinite wisdom, which is lacking, or my experience and knowledge, and all that kind of stuff is secondary to when I see somebody really get excited about what we're working on and about the whatever their challenge, and as they start to understand how they can improve and that they actually have lots of insights and answers within themselves. That is one of the juiciest things that I do. And last week I got a chance to sit alongside a really gifted media guy, graphic artist. He works in all the programs and is doing amazing stuff for an engineering firm, and that firm is growing rapidly. And so I work with them on their organizational development, but I also come alongside most of their staff and help them take whatever their next best step forward is. And Jamie's his name, and he is now heading up a department. Now it sounds like a big thing, but they're starting to add people, and he has to be able to communicate with them and with the rest of the firm about what's the workflow. And it's when you just try and plot it down, it seems really overwhelming. But when I sat down and all I really did was put a input and an output. And I asked him, what do people ask you for? What's the output? And he just listed all the things that they have to be able to produce. And then we started with, well, what do you need? Or how does it usually start? And he just started listing all the data points and all that. And as we sat down together, I was just asking him questions, and you could just see the lights go on as he was going, well, I need this, but wait, I need this first. And we just graphically, and what was fun is it was with a sheet of butcher paper and some colored pens. And he's used to working on a computer with CAD and design programs and any equivalents of Visio and just all these fancy computer stuff. But when he got stepped back and just started drawing it, you could see the lights go on, and he just started to produce this really thoughtful workflow so that he's going to be able to communicate this to both new people as they come in, but also help adjust people's expectations on what needs to happen so he could do his job really well and produce what these people need. So that was a big juicy part, and that was really fun. Now, on the flip side of juicy, something that was a little bit messier, there was a project that I've been working on for quite a while, and we finished one phase of the project, and we are trying to initiate the next phase. And I just heard back this week that the company doesn't want to move forward on that track. And I put a lot of time and energy and emotion into it, and hearing back that no, they're going to go in another direction. They're going to try something different. There's a piece inside of me that automatically turned around and said, John, you suck. This is all your fault. This is nothing. And yeah, there's things I need to own. I need to own 100% of the fact that they didn't choose to go my direction, but I can't let that stall me in working on amazing things and doing great things and being kind, not just in how I talk with that group, but how I think about that group. I wasn't providing something that needed their needs right now, and that's fine. In fact, it's great that they didn't choose to go my direction. It's a great opportunity to sit back and say, what different choices could I make where I could have met their needs better? But they chose to go another direction, and I will call it a failure in the best sense of the word, because it identifies some specific things where I need to grow and where I can become better and better and better. And is that beginner mindset that every time I reach a new success and a new failure, I'm finding where I've grown in the success and what my next step might be in the failure. So I'm actually really excited about that. As I was walking my dogs this morning, instead of listening to my normal podcast, I was just listening to music. And by the way, in Pandora, I just typed in Charlie Brown Christmas. It was more for my son, but my gosh, that's just an amazing jazz station. So I was just listening to the jazz, and I was just thinking about my week, knowing that I was going to sit down with you guys today. And it became really clear that I have so much to be thankful for, not just, in the general in my life, but even in this day, even in last week, there were so many things that were just amazing. And to internalize that is going to help me keep that focus of being kind and moving forward as I run into failure and as I run into success. So that's kind of the fun recap of the week. Another piece of the week, when I'm not doing leadership development stuff, I am doing. I'm a roadie for my wife's event planning and cake decorating company. So we got a chance to do an amazing event this weekend with my wife's best friends. They celebrated her birthday this week, and even though her birthday was back in November, this was the first time that they could get everybody together, and they threw a big party. And it was such a blast to be her roadie and just kind of make things. It's facilitation, and I do that, but it's facilitation and just getting things done, seeing what needs to happen and making it happen, and helping her facilitate her amazingness, her greatness as an event planner by just being able to carry boxes and load a truck and problem solve in the moment so that she didn't have to worry about it. So I wanted to share a picture, if I can find it, of Priscilla and Joy, the birthday girls. So this is at the event. This is Priscilla and Joy. And such a great time. An amazing group of people. They had a band there that just rocked it. Priscilla made this dessert table that was just amazing, and very proud of her cake. I'll put a link if you're in Southern California and want an amazing event planner. Sure, I'm biased. She is my wife. But it was just so much fun to work with her and help her be really successful in that. The last thing for this week that I wanted to talk about was I interviewed Fred Harburg, and some of you who know me know of Fred. And I've worked with him a whole bunch on coaching and several different things. I consider him a great mentor, and I've been able to schedule a series of interviews with him and just talk to him about coaching specifically, but it's really about life and developing people and thinking really well. And it's amazing. We got on the line, and before I knew it, an hour had just blown by because of Fred's really his curiosity, his great stories from the formation of team building and other places and other things. I just had so much fun talking with him, and interviewing people is definitely one of those things that is a challenge to me. And I don't like doing anything halfway. So I automatically think I should be, a cross between Larry King and Tim Ferriss in my interviewing skills. And it's going to take me a long time to get there. But that excitement of getting there, and that's juicy as well. That living life juicy is stepping out on something that you're pretty sure you're not very good at, and doing it anyway and moving through that. So that's my recap of the week. If in the last week or last time I was on, I decided that I'm going to try and give myself a challenge to live, and invite anybody who wants to live that challenge as well to join in, and hopefully maybe post on the channel and follow these different challenges. So last week, the challenge was to find something pretty common, pretty much in your everyday life. It was based out of a book about noticing life in the city and noticing the things around you and becoming appreciative of it. And specifically, that book talked about pigeons, this thing that used to be seen as associated with scarcity and royalty. And now, pigeon and dove were about the same thing. And now there's no way that you would think about, pigeon soap as opposed to dove soap. It's just one of those things that dissociated. So we don't think about their backstory. So I challenged myself and invited you guys along to find something in your everyday life that you don't really think about that much, and think about either investigate a backstory or create a backstory of what happened. So I took a morning and I went down to one of my favorite office annexes, which is Point Mugu State Beach, and just back my truck up and look out over the ocean, bring up my chair or sit on a rock or whatever. And I use that to kind of start, whenever I can, I want to start my day by making some, doing some reflection and doing some intentional thinking about, okay, what do I want to get done? And I was sitting there with my calendar and all that kind of stuff. I got to do that story thing that I challenged myself to. And what a better place than the beach, looking over the waves. And it was really inspirational and cool, and hearing the sound of the ocean. And I got to thinking, okay, this is a great place for a story. And I look, and there's amazing wildlife all around. And as I'm sitting there, I notice there's some rocks that I'm usually by. And one of the things that's always on these rocks is seagull poop. And at first, I'll do like a story with that seagull. It's kind of the equivalent of a pigeon of the ocean, those types of things. But as I sat there, I noticed the poop was mostly on one side of a rock. So I imagined, I took some time to imagine that seagull doing what I do, sitting there on the rock, looking out over the ocean, and just imagine what his morning time was like, his morning meditations or devotions or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to write that up. I'll put it onto the blog, the Living Life Juicy blog, if you want to read the reflections on the story behind the pigeon poop that I saw. So that's how I lived out my challenge last week. If you maybe took that challenge, or maybe you want to take that challenge right now and just think about the backstory and either go research that, or just invent a story so that it helps you notice and become present in the moment, I want to encourage you to try that. Try finding the stories there. So wanted to highlight a friend, and she's actually, I think I may have met her maybe 2 or 3 times. She's a friend on Facebook, and that, you know what that means is that you might not have seen these people at all and being friends. But Patty she's the wife of a really good friend of mine who we worked together back in the day and explored all kinds of cool implications around challenge and adventure and experience. And we worked together, and now Jeff Tacklin has taken it amazing places and is doing great work down in Laguna Beach. And he actually has a book coming out. But I didn't want to talk about Jeff. I want to talk about his wife, Patty Tacklin. And the reason being is I think that Patty, as I'm following her on Facebook, and here's Patty. As I'm following her on Facebook, I'm following her journey into moving into being an exercise instructor. And that might seem like not a big deal, but she is taking amazing risks and doing things that are extremely challenging and posting about it. And she is actually demonstrating what it looks like to live life juicy in an amazing way. Because she was amazing before she started this challenge, but about a year ago, she decided she needed to get in shape. And again, amazing woman, raising kids, living, keeping up with the household, but she had a dream. And she is now stepping into living that dream and trying new things and doing all kinds of amazing things. And following her in this year's journey has just been a blast. And seeing her going and just being excited about a new healthy approach to life, challenging herself to get up early in the morning and then posting about it and doing it, attending exercise classes, becoming an instructor, and now leading exercise classes, and now reaching out to become a coach to help people live, not just become more healthy, but in essence, I would say what she's doing is she is teaching people how to live life juicy and coaching people towards this more full, abundant life all around, not just with health, but with how they live their everyday lives. And what impressed me this week, and I'm going to I'll find out a way to connect with Patty on this. And Patty, I'm going to tag you in this. And I would love to interview you at some time. We could do a Living Life Juicy live interview. I want to hear your story about this journey that you're taking and how you have a vision for helping people live better, live fuller every day. So let's connect. Let's do this thing. Maybe we can even do it live if I'm down in your neck of the woods. We can be together in the same room and not just do it over the internet here. But what impressed me this week about Patty, and it really influenced some of the things I shared earlier, and also influences the challenge this week. She posted about doing basically a presentation about what she's offering with coaching, what she wants to do, give her the sneak peek on her approach and her services. And she advertised it, and I know she was excited about it just in the way she posted. But then, and this is the great part, she posted her reflections on the fact that nobody showed up, that there wasn't any, at least for this one time, there wasn't a lot of interest in what she had for it. And what I love about this, number one, huge risk. She stepped out of her comfort zone and knew that this was going to be a challenge, a challenge in her tactical approach to living life juicy, not just the overall strategic approach of living this way, but that worry, in just trying this thing of saying, hey, I'm going to give a sneak peek of what I'm about and how I might be able to help you take a step forward. And like all of us, and I've lived this silently many, many times, what if nobody shows up? What if you throw a party and nobody comes? What if you have a product and nobody buys it? All those worry pieces that are legitimate, but if it holds you back from trying it, they can be deadly. And Patty shared about that process, that she had that same worry, but she did it. She showed up even if nobody else did. And in that, what I think everybody would call a failure of an event becomes precious, becomes important, becomes the learning, becomes the step to the next place. And I love what she says, both in doing it in her post. She talks about how she, so I got dressed and I went and I did it, even though it was scary. And it's a culmination. Just hosting the event in and of itself was a culmination of her year of growth, her year of living life juicy. But that learning that she grabbed from it might have been more important than if it was a huge success right off the bat. That showed her both the progress that she's made and also what's next. And oftentimes the knowing what's next and figuring out what is that next step in development, that's just as important as any success that you can have. That's that growth mindset. That's that resiliency that I'm seeking in living life juicy. So I want to shout out to Patty, say thank you, thank you, thank you. If you are in Orange County and want somebody who's doing amazing things in her personal life and offering to help you take your next best step towards a healthy life, reach out, find out Patty Tackland. She's down in Laguna Beach and doing amazing things. Thank you, Patty. So with that, I want to talk about this week's challenge. And the challenge is, what I want to do is I want to try something that I'm pretty much guaranteed that I'm going to fail at. And knowing that I'm going to fail, now I have to want to do it. It has to be something interesting to me. It has to be something that perhaps I've been putting off just because of the failure piece, not because of resources or anything like that. It's just that maybe I've thought about it one time and then go, nah, probably not going to work. Probably not going to be good. And I have my thing is that I really hate mediocrity. And if I know that I can't do it well, then I won't do it. And I've got to be willing to step outside my comfort zone, into that growth zone, which means that failure isn't just probable or isn't just possible, it's probable. Now there's pretty much a guarantee I don't have the skills that I'm going to need to be successful here. I want to try that. And it's not a big thing. I think in this week, I want to figure out something small that I'm going to do that I'm probably going to fail at. And I want to challenge you to try that too. Not, don't, risk your savings on a risky investment deal that's probably going to fail. Not a big thing. Don't risk your career. But risk something small. Risk time. Maybe it's something small that you can do in an hour or in 2 hours that you're probably not going to be good at, that you're probably going to fail at, but also build in some time to figure out, what did it tell you? Reflect about, I did this. Did I surprise myself and do it better than I thought? Did I figure out what's keeping me from being good at it? But take some time to try something that you suck at and that you want to get better at, or something that you've never tried at all and you have no clue, but for some reason you think you're probably not going to be good at it. So this week, the challenge is try something small that you're probably going to fail at. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Living Life Juicy. I'll put links today. I'm going to put links in the information, the show notes of this. So if you're interested in some of the things I talked about, you can do that, especially if you're interested in events in Southern California or custom cookies and cakes with Events a la Mode. And if you're interested in stepping out and doing something different, if you're in the Orange County area, connecting with Patty Tacklin, and figuring things out. If I can find it, I'll put a link to Jeff Tacklin's new book that's coming out. I've read parts of it. It's very thoughtful. And just like Jeff is, it's very challenging too. And with that, have a great day. And don't forget, be kind as you do great things.